Hello, Chris. Welcome to the Hidden Why podcast. Great to have you here today.
Lee, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You've just written a new book.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Just went live on Amazon yesterday. Yes, sir.
Nice, nice. So you're in launch mode.
Yes,
So
I
tell us a
am.
little bit about, before we get into the book, because I know there's some great content in the book. Tell us a bit about yourself, because you've got a financial background, don't you?
Yeah, I've been a financial services entrepreneur for the last 23 years. I've built a practice of about 200 agents across the United States. We've helped about 20,000 or so people
Yeah.
around that. Yep. Married, 21-year-old, 18-year-old in Denver, Colorado. So
Denver, Colorado. Right.
yes.
And you've written a few books. You obviously help a lot of people with their finances and their success in that regards, but you also help people in regards to success in their own life, right?
Yeah, I mean, my book is basically it's called Think and Grow You, and it's
Very catchy title.
that's right. Yeah, and the subtitle is called How to Get Out of Your Own Way and Level Up Your Life.
Yeah.
And that's that's the purpose of the book is basically all the ways I was getting in my own way, all the ways I was stuck, and coming out of the last 3 years, right? I think people are more
Right.
stuck. They're more stuck than ever, and they don't know how to get
COVID
unstuck.
pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
this is a book that you've written off the back of your own life and your own experiences and how I guess you've gotten out of your own way.
Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of known. Our financial services company has about 55,000 agents spread out across North America, and I've been kind of known as mindset guy for several years, and people have me come in and talk about that. But in November of 21, I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Steve Siebold, but he's a kind of a personal development icon. He sold about 3.5 million books. He's a good friend of mine. He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, man, I've been listening to you speak for a decade. I'll coach you on how to write a book. You got to get a book done. Your content, my coaching." And so that's what we did, man. We spent 9 months on the first draft. 4 drafts later, 14 months later, the book, I put it to bed about 2 weeks ago. So it's really all about the concepts in that book, and it's written in a format where it's very tight, no filler, no fluff, no BS, 200 to 300 words of coaching, teaching, quote, resource, book, podcast, seminar, something I did to change, an action step that I used to shift my thinking. And then it's my personal story behind what I'm teaching, right? It's not just something I read in a book. It's just like, okay, this is what I did. And it's very self-deprecating in the fact that it's very much like, okay, I was kind of jacked up here. I realized it, but here's what I did once I realized it to shift, to change my thinking, to change my actions, to get different results. And so it's so the problem I solve is stuck. And
Yeah.
my messaging through the book is you got to humble down. You got to be willing to change.
Yeah.
You must do the work, but doing the work is absolutely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this sort of being stuck in life in any aspect of life, or is it all about being stuck in your relationships or work, career, finances, all of the above?
All of the above.
Yeah. So who are we
Yeah.
who are we looking at like with this book? I mean, who's your target audience out there, do you think?
I mean, the themes are, I mean, it's so universally. I mean, it's, like I talk about how I stopped worrying permanently, right? I walk people through that process. I talk to people about forgiveness. People are horrific with forgiveness. They don't know how to do it. They don't understand it. They hold on to stuff. I talk to people about judgment. I talk to people about their money. For the sales entrepreneur, I talk about, how I changed my mindset on selling, goal setting. I mean, you name it. It's soup to nuts. It's meant to somebody can look at the table of contents and go, okay, all right, where am I stuck? Okay, let me go here. And you read, I call it a chapter. It's not really, I mean, it's 50 concepts. Somebody can read in 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then they can say, okay, I'm stuck here. What did Chris do to get unstuck here? Okay, let me do that. Let me shift. Let me stop the pattern in my mind and try that. So my hope is, it's not a book that you read and you're like, read it. It's a book. It's a forever resource that people will go back and say, you know what? Because I had those books, Lee, but I had like 10 of them, right? And they were, there was chunks in the books that I would use, but my prayer is this is a go-to resource for people so that they can, stop the pattern, get unstuck, and get on the path to the life they want. So
Yeah, I
that's
guess
why I
it's
wrote
one
it.
of those things you sort of get a concept, an idea, or a practice, or a tool, and it works. And then after the period of time, you find yourself in the same position. So therefore, and you often forget tools, don't you? You forget what you did. So it's handy to have a resource to go back to. I get that, which is great. With these, I mean, where do we start? How do you get out of the way? Like you've obviously put into the book a lifetime of your lessons and learnings and tools to help other people use those tools as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. And obviously I think what makes it different, and I wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be relatable. I wanted it to very much I share my dirty laundry, right? Like there's nothing. And, as my mentor, I would do a concept, send it over to him. I mean, we'd spend, 2 weeks sometimes on one concept. And, his feedback when he was done is he said, Chris, he's like, most people in personal development, they stand on their podium and their platform and, you think they're just sunshine, lollipops and roses and their life is great. He's like, it's super rare that anybody, and he's like, I don't know anyone that is doing it to the level that you're doing it, where you are literally sharing all the ugliness that went on, and it's going to give people hope. And so from a guy that's very hard to impress, he's almost as excited about the book as I am. And
That's good.
so
Yeah,
it's
congratulations.
it's cool.
And,
his
and
wife,
you do look at Yep, you go.
no, I just said his wife loves it. She was the ultimate test. Like, cause we're like writing the book. I'm like, we got to get this to your wife. We got to get this to your wife. He's like, no, don't do that yet. Don't do that. And she's like, Chris, some of the best personal development stories I've ever heard in my life. And
What's his
so
name?
without her endorsement, that was
Your
the big one.
mentor? Steve.
Steve Siebold.
How do you spell that?
Siebold. Siebold.
Well, have a look at that, guys. Steve Seawold.
Yep.
Yeah, I
He's
guess
the
you
best
look up at speakers and personal developers. There's a bunch of names come to my head immediately. And yeah, you do. You think their life is just shiny and peachy, but regardless, and I've been told this by many successful people that it might look like that from an outside, but certainly there's things going on that we have to, deal with every day, and they actually just become better at dealing with that. They have a better toolbox than most of us. What do you think about this day and age? I mean, back 10 or even 20 years ago, we didn't have social media. And now most people have this false identity online, basically, that we're creating. We've got two identities, one of us, one of our online identity, where we put along this almost false persona of who we actually are. And it looks very peachy. In most cases, some people show their true self, I'm sure, but in most cases, people have this peachy sort of persona. I mean, what are your thoughts about that and where that's going?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, my goal is to always, I mean, I spent a big chunk of my life trying to put out a false persona. And,
Right.
and I think a big part of my book is, trying to manipulate the outside world while you insist on staying the same. It's exhausting and it doesn't work.
Right.
And so what I realized was, I had to do the internal work, and the more I did the internal work, the more the outside world would show up. So, the false picture and then the real stuff behind, I think that's fine, but if you're looking for the outside world to tell you you're great and you're all that in a bag of chips, that's very unstable. That's very much a beach ball in the ocean of life. And as one of my coaches said, often fed, never satisfied. And I call it looking for love in all the wrong places. So I did that, for decades. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay the same, but if I can rearrange the furniture on the deck of the Titanic, then, it's going to be good. Nope. The Titanic's still going down. And when my back was most against the wall, I realized that approach was not working. And I had to do something different. And the outside world didn't need to change. This dude was the one that absolutely needed to change.
Yeah. Really good point. I think, again, most of us probably go through that in our early years where we're just trying to figure things out, maybe. Yeah. And I don't know if it happens to everyone or just some people, but I had that same experience where I felt like I was being this, but actually wasn't that. And slowly, and still probably doing it, really, just coming into my shelf and saying, okay, this is actually how it is, and let me show up as authentically. I hate using that word, but as authentically as I can. And things have started to shape themselves better for that reason. So you can probably get a lot of that out of your book in that regards, Think and Grow You. How do you get out of your way? I mean, is everyone stuck? And what are the reasons for being stuck? Is it limiting beliefs?
Yeah, there's obviously, limiting beliefs. And I think the biggest way we get stuck is we resist what's actually happening. And, the pandemic was a perfect example. Like, people are like, this shouldn't be happening. Why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. This is horrible. This is that. And once again, look in the outside world and taking all the cues from the outside world to let yourself think based on what you're seeing, right? Versus getting to the point of eventually you got to accept it, right? And I was caught in that. There was I'm in financial services. My clients' monies are down 20, 25, 30%, right? Like, all this stuff's coming down. People are getting, sick. We don't know what it is. And I was like, but I have done the work. But for 3 days, I was like, man, you're resisting it. You're in fear. You're in doubt. You're in worry. Like, there's a lot you can't control. And eventually you got to get to accepting it. And that's, because if you continue to resist, like, people resist their debt, the debt keeps growing. People resist their health gets worse. What you resist continues to persist. That's what creates stuck. And what creates stuck is allowing your outside world to dictate your thought processes. So my coach said back in the day, because I was $250,000 in credit card debt, my life was a mess. My life was a disaster. And I kept saying, this shouldn't be this way. It is. And the quicker you can get to accepting it and what that means, and it was one of the greatest lessons he taught me, Chris, you don't need to like it, but you need to stop hating it. And what you need to get to is, it is what it is. I accept it. And only from that platform can you make changes. So pandemic, there was 3 days where I was like, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. But thank God I've done a lot of work. And I'm like, all right, dude, it is. So from this, what do we want? What do I want? What's the next thing I need to do? So, and people are looking at me and I'm leading them. And we went 100% virtual, right? It changed my business forever. It was a blessing. I mean, we had a record 2020. We had a record 2021. We had a record 2022. Is that because of me? No, it's because of the team. But we, within 3 days, I got to acceptance of, hey, this is what it is. And what can I actually control? Well, let's go. Let's go help a bunch of people. Let's get online. Let's do this. Let's take some action. So what keeps stuck is I'm resisting what is. I'm not accepting it. Victim, allowing the outside world to dictate my thinking, allowing the outside world to dictate my thoughts, my actions, and all that. Accepting. And then what do I want? What's next? And you start shifting your thought processes, moment by moment. But how you get in your own way is, you got sabotaging patterns. I got a worry pattern. I got a judgment pattern. I got forgiveness issues. I got limiting beliefs. I got negative self-talk. I got, all that stuff. And if you don't interrupt the pattern and do something different, you're going to continue to get the same freaking results. And that's what happened to me. And I finally connected the prices that I was paying for being that way. And it was going to be another divorce. It's going to be bankruptcy. It was going to be, giving up on my entrepreneurial dream, but that price is too heavy, Lee. So I had to do something different. And the different was, dude, I had to change.
Yeah. What you resist persists. I like that line. It's very true. I'm trying to think about things in my life that I resist and they persist. And I guess it's you're not going to change anything by just suddenly changing your mindset and saying, okay, I accept it. What do I actually want? Because there's a lot of steps after that and a lot of points of action you need to take after that to help that change as well.
Yeah. Well, and it's an exercise, during that time period that my coach had me do, and I actually do it in my workshops where it's like, okay, make a list of everything in your life that you wish wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's a great list. And so back then it was my debt, my ex-wife, my wife's stress, my this, my that. I mean, dude, it was a long list.
Excuse me.
And bless you. And because I wrote it down, these are the things in my life that I wish weren't present. Because I wrote it down meant I was resisting those things.
Yeah.
And until my thought processes and my energy and my view of those things changed, nothing was going to change. So, now when I do that list, those things that were once there are no longer there. Because I accepted it, didn't love it, but had to stop hating it. And then different action, different thinking, different results. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen over time. Those things will shift. They will change. They have to. It's a law.
Do you revisit that list sort of daily in the initial stages?
No.
So you just write that list down. Do you focus on a couple of the key areas? Because, I mean, you might have a fairly big list and sometimes it can be overwhelming trying to accept it all.
Well,
or maybe not.
If you start becoming aware of, I mean, really all personal growth and development comes down to what's called the law of growth. And
What's called what, sorry?
The law of growth.
Uh-huh.
And the law of growth is, where is my focus?
Yeah.
So my focus had been on debt for 18 years. So what was I expecting to happen? But when I hired my coach, he said, don't focus on your debt, focus on creating wealth. That's interesting. Okay. So saving money. We still had to handle our debt, but if we didn't focus on creating wealth, we were going to be in debt.
Yeah.
If I couldn't save money, right? And there was some mentality, mindset stuff I had to shift on money to do that. So I got focused over there. Am I focused on problems or am I focused on my vision? So my constant question, and I don't have to ask it as much now, is what am I focused on and what must this be creating?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal question. And so if I don't feel good or I'm in resistance to stuff, then I ask myself, what am I focused on? What must this be creating? Well, I'm focused on problems. I'm focused on things not working. I'm focused on judging others. I'm judging myself. That's stuck thinking. And, I haven't figured it out. I'm not a guru, but I have gotten more aware of like, okay, dude, that's the train. We don't want to keep that train moving. So I need to interrupt the pattern, get my focus to what I want, not what I don't want. And so as you work on that moment by moment, the things on your list eventually, not overnight, but over time, they'll start changing. And you work on a couple of things, and then you work on a couple of things, and then there's a snowball effect of a lot of things on that list getting handled. I didn't have to address everything on that list, but as I forgave my ex-wife, she was no longer on that list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As I worked on my judgment project of judging things so much, there's a bunch of stuff that got eliminated. So it's anyway.
It has a snowball effect, and then you sort of become a bit of a guru as such at dealing with these things, because your mindset changes over time as well. It strengthens, and suddenly focusing on all the negative aspects and the things you resist in life, you become much better at focusing on all the growth opportunities and the positives of life and the gratitudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a toolbox of practices that you do to help you with keeping that mindset together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all in the book, right? There's 50 different concepts, and then there's 50 different, things I did. Not there's 50 different tools, but my main go-to tool was always, writing down, what issue I had, or, I used to have a horrible relationship with money, right? So, my coach said, hey, you don't have a money problem, you have a money project, right? That was a mindset shift, right?
What was your horrible relationship with money?
Well, I was $250,000 in debt, credit card debt. So based on results, my relationship sucked, right? And so obviously I viewed it as a problem. And so a mindset shift was, it's not a problem, it's a project. And we view problems as, woe is me, can't help myself, right? We view problems in victim mode, like we're helpless. Projects we view differently, right? If we face obstacles with a project, we will figure out a way. A project, we will see it through the end of completion. And so he said, hey, you have a money project. So first step, get a journal, piece of paper, write the word money down, and then write down everything you make up about that word. Because as humans, we're storytellers. We make up stuff. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so my story around money was hard. Everything was hard, right? Hard to make, hard to keep, hard to save. Rich people are bad people, right? I mean, it's just, you can't have money and and have fun at the same time. I mean, it was like 20, 25 limiting beliefs. I actually list them out in the book, the big ones. And then I was like, interesting, but it's a story. So the cool part about a story is the story can be rewritten. And that's what I did. I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell myself a more empowering story, which is, money's a scorecard of value that I create in other people's lives. I fully believe that. The more money I make, the bigger impact I'm making. Making and saving big money is easy. I didn't believe that initially, but it is. It's fairly easy, right? Especially if I stay in, my purpose and service and helping others. And, so I created a more empowering story, and I would read that and affirm it and tell myself. And then eventually over time, the story took root, and, the bamboo eventually popped out of the ground and grew, and it was a life changer. So a lot of what I teach in the book is, let's inventory your thinking, because what most people do, Lee, is they have, 4 or 5 limiting beliefs rolling around in their head, and they never even shine a spotlight on it. They don't even know what it is. And it runs them unconsciously, and they're once again trying to rearrange the furniture on the deck of the Titanic. And here I was in my late 30s, and I'm like, I had never sat down and actually wrote down what my thoughts were around money. I had to do that around sales. I had to do that around my relationship. Everywhere where I was stuck, I had to figure out what my point A was. Where am I? Well, and giving myself grace, significant grace, not beating myself up, not judging myself, but actually going, all right, well, that's a pretty crappy story that I borrowed from my parents, who borrowed it from their parents. And so we had generations of broke people in my family.
Yep.
And so I interrupted the pattern, changed it. Now my 21-year-old and 18-year-old, guess what? They don't have that story. They have a great relationship with money. And, so we broke that destructive pattern.
Yeah, I like it. All boils down to awareness, and then having that awareness and being able to actually look at those thoughts, putting it down on paper, great practice of writing it down, taking time to actually sit there and think.
Yeah, it's the hardest work on the planet.
And we don't do that anymore. We like to just go, through our day and get swamped and swallowed by everything that we're resisting, rather than sitting down and having a big breath and maybe spending half an hour in the morning going, okay, well, what do I want to focus on today?
I talk about my morning routine in the book too. It's,
what do you do?
It's evolved over time, but I encourage people to do, you do at least 30 minutes a morning, because 30 minutes of working on you is like 4.5 working weeks of doing it in a year, compounded over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, pretty substantial. You're going to grow, and you're going to get unstuck if you actually do some work on you every single day. But it's, it's prayer time, visualization time, Bible, imaging, affirmations, reading my business plan for the year. And, and then basically I call it, filling the encouragement meter, because we get discouraged. That's another way you get stuck, especially as an entrepreneur. It's really easy to get discouraged. And discouragement, I've watched it. I mean, it's ruined a lot of careers. It's ruined a lot of lives. My dad was constantly discouraged, and I watched it. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm often discouraged when I wake up, and I can't imagine now running out of the house being discouraged and taking that energy and vibration out to the world. So I have to, in discouragements, it's like a gas tank, right? Or your encouragement meter is like a gas tank. So I got to fill it up in the morning, especially as I lead other people, right? And encouragement means to give courage to. So I have to encourage myself. I have to encourage others. I'm encouraging people with the book. So I have to fill the encouragement meter with, whatever I do. It doesn't have to be what everyone else does, but whatever you got to do to give yourself the energy, especially if you have goals, dreams, and aspirations, it takes energy. And that's the big part about my book, Lee, is I discovered a lot of my energy leaks, right? And it's one of the reasons why I have more energy at 51 than I did at 41, and probably even 31, because I got rid of a lot of baggage and stuff that was weighing me down. So so a morning routine to just, raise up your energy, working out, all that stuff's super important too, right? But it takes energy to make your life work, and you gotta bring it to the table.
Spend some time on that every day, particularly in the morning. Good way to start. Talk to us about your timeline. So you said he's 51 now, yeah?
I'm 51, yeah.
51. I mean, a lot of younger people, I suppose, if you could look back at your 20-year-old self, what would you tell that person?
Chill out. chill the hell out, chill
Yeah.
out, relax.
What about because I'm just looking at your life, and you've just constantly built it up. You're 51 now. You didn't do this overnight. What would you say to that person? Because everyone wants immediate results, immediate outcomes. And I think that will ultimately create a bigger discouragement in their lives, because they'll realize that, hang on, it's got to be a long-term approach, not short-term.
Yeah, I mean, I would, so I would tell myself, 20, 30 years ago, whatever, is, relax, have calm urgency. I believe in urgency, but I believe you can do urgency in a relaxed fashion. And, and it's cliche, but enjoy the process. Like you gotta love the process of whatever it is that you're doing, right? I'm a Denver Broncos fan, right? And we've been horrible here for the last 7 years. But somebody was interviewing Peyton Manning when he was our quarterback, and like, when will you know it's time to retire? And his body failed. That's why he had to retire. But he said, when I no longer enjoy the process, right? When I no longer enjoy that. And so I think, looking back, I would have said, relax. I have a great work ethic. That's never been an issue, because I always knew the work would be worth it. But that's a big message in my book, is you got to be willing to change. You got to do the work, but the work is going to be worth it, because I think a lot of people, they don't really believe it's going to be worth it. And I knew it was going to be worth it, but I was constantly putting myself under pressure and stress and delaying my happiness to, once I get there, I'm going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I say it multiple times in the book, there's no happy ending to an unhappy journey.
Yeah.
So I would have chilled out. I would have relaxed. I would have trusted that it was going to turn out, because I had a lot of doubt. And the only thing that kept me in the game is my work ethic. My crazy work ethic just overcame all these obstacles. And if I would have chilled out, relaxed, enjoyed the process, and trusted and expected it was going to turn out versus being in fear, I wouldn't have had to work 80 hours a week. Right? Because I was running a marathon with a bowling ball around my ankle.
Yeah.
But once I released all that garbage, I don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be a grind. It's anyway, I don't know. I gave you a lot there, but that's the stuff I tell myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What so your book is available on Amazon?
Yes, sir.
Grow You. Yep. By Chris Felton. And
website's chrisfelton.me. chrisfelton.me. That's the
chrisfelton.me.
website. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. We'll stick that link in the show notes. Any final words, Chris? Anything else you want to let the audience know about yourself?
No, I'm just excited to get the message out. I'm looking for, obviously other podcasts to get on, and I'm looking for, opportunities to speak to groups and share the message and get the books in the hands of people that'll help them get unstuck. I want to help tens of millions of people in this area. So I got some big goals, some big dreams, some big aspirations. And so anyone that's listening that wants to reach out, you can contact me on the chrisfelton.me website, and happy to have a conversation with anyone that's open to it. So I really appreciate you, Lee, having me on.
No, I appreciate you coming on, guys. Check it out at thehiddenwhy.com, and you can listen to the podcast, show notes, etc. there. Chris, thank you again. And until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.